you very much for being here today at the management meeting for today, May 11th of 2022. And I call this meeting to order. And I'll be chairing this today because Council Member Johnson was unavailable, so bear with me. And I'll just referring to the agenda that we have for today, just call for approval of the agenda, and we need a motion for that? We don't. Any corrections or changes to the agenda for today? No? Okay. So the next item on our agenda is approval of the April 27th, 2022 Management Committee minutes. Any changes, corrections, or additions to the minutes? No? Okay. We need a motion for this. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, second. All those in favor? Opposed? Excellent, thank you. Next, we are going to address our non-consent business, and we have Michele. Heupel?
Heupel.
Okay. With item 2022124, purchasing car policy, and go for that.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Michele Heupel, P-Card Manager. I am here to present business item 2022-124, purchasing card policy. The purchasing card policy is a newly created policy. Since the inception of the purchasing card program, the program has been governed by Council's procurement and financial management policies. The purchasing card policy will not change existing policies. However, we found the need to identify a focused and comprehensive policy and procedure that is specific to the P-Card program. The purchasing card policy has been created to provide users with clear and consistent guidelines and standards for the proper usage and management of the P-Card program, while also ensuring sufficient controls are in place to mitigate risk. The purchasing card policy went through several rounds of review with our end users and also with the council-wide policy and procedure review team, whose purpose is to review all policies and procedures for consistency, clarity, and compliance. This team has endorsed the purchasing card policy to move forward to the management committee for approval. The Thrive lens used with stewardship, following responsible financial management and being strategic with council resources. Mr. Chair, the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council adopt FM 16-1 purchasing card policy. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Ms. Heupel?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have just a quick comment and question. I'm really glad to see this. I think this is something we desperately needed for a long time. It just provides clear guidance on this sort of standalone thing. And this might not be a policy question, but it might be a practice question. So I see where in here it says, like, if a user is going to be going away for a while, they should suspend their activity or something like that. But do we do any monitoring on our side, like if we see any strange things happening to suspend an account? Does that make sense?
Mr. Chair and committee member, yes, we do a lot of different audits on activity. We review for non-activity. If somebody hasn't used it for a period of time, we will reach out to them and find out if the card is still needed, should it be suspended. With shorter leave of absence, like a week for a vacation, we might not notice that. Some people's activity is higher than others, but yes, we do a lot of monitoring.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I have one quick question, and it's because I tried to look on my files and emails about a previous conversation that we have about the P-Card. Maybe I'm thinking when this policy was started to be discussed years or months ago. So my understanding is that the changes came about because we just needed more consistency and just kind of clean up from a technical point of view the policy. It's not because there was like a systemic problem or an issue that was worrisome. Is that a correct characterization?
Mr. Chair and committee members, that is correct, just to provide additional guidance and clarity for all of our users.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, do we need a motion to approve the business item? And second?
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, thank you. Motion carries. Let's move on to our information items for today. And first we have the maintenance tech training program presentation by Koski. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Chair, committee members, my name is Koski. I'm the Senior Manager of the Workforce Development Department. I had an opportunity to speak in front of many of you, most of you, but very grateful for the opportunity today to share and request support for a very unique and I think impactful opportunity. I don't have the ability to control the slides.
Next slide.
Next slide, please. Thank you. In brief, so I can provide some context, is the department structure of the workforce department. We are in human resources. Myself and Gary Courtney lead the department, and we have 3 coordinator positions. Next slide, please. What our department does is we design and deliver innovative career pathways that connect area residents and communities with hard-to-fill council and transit positions. We have a good track record of this. The next slide, please, will begin to show some of our work we've done. Next slide. So there are 2 programs I'd like to call to your attention. The first is the Metro Transit Technician Program, MTT. It's already been many years since we've had a chance to talk about this program, but it really provided a wonderful foundation for our work. And it's fun to report back now after 5, 8 years even, to see that the 29 individuals who graduated from that program, 25 remain employed as bus, transit, and light rail transit technicians. The 4 that are no longer with us, 2 of them have great stories. One started his own business as a mechanic, and the other is now serving in the Navy as a mechanic. Very proud, and through that effort, we secured over $1 million in funding from a variety of sources. And our efforts was recognized as the APTA Workforce Program of the Year in 2016. We have the ability, that yellow block should be able to do a very quick video. And if we have a few minutes, this video is going to show the faces of the most recent graduate class in 2020. It looks like the video did not make its way to the presentation. Oh, here we go. Wonderful. This is the best part, right?
It is.
Thank you. So yes, it's still a great thing to celebrate. And it is a wonderful example of how, through collaboration of departments, external stakeholders, internal stakeholders, we can create real pathway opportunities for all residents in our community to have a family supporting job and to develop a career. The second program I'd like to briefly introduce to you is the Building Strong Communities program on the right side of the screen. That picture was taken last Thursday at North Hennepin Community College, where 36 young men and women completed their construction apprenticeship, pre-apprenticeship program. This would be the fourth cohort that we've helped administer and deliver on behalf of the construction community and organized union labor. We've had 71 individuals in 8 construction trades begin their career as a construction union worker. Many of those apprentices work on council projects, including light rail and wastewater services. Like all of our programs, we are grounded in equity and providing opportunities for non-traditional applicant pools. 90% of our graduates in this Building Strong Communities program are women and or people of color. And we've continued to kind of complete that circle by allowing for us to reimburse contractors to hire these graduates. When they work on council capital projects, they are recognized for the extra resources it takes to train someone, become a green apprentice to a valued journey person, union construction worker. So we're really proud of that, and we continue. This graduating class of 36, 15 have already accepted apprenticeship positions, and 8 of those are with the Southwest Light Rail construction crew. So we're really excited about that. Let's provide you context. Next slide, please. For why we do this work, and it is the people, and it is the families in the region that we have the opportunity to impact, either through employment opportunities through the council or through our connections with the contracting community that builds our infrastructure. So right here is a collection, a collage, if you will, of multiple individuals in our programs, and most of those have successfully completed and are working either here or again in our contracting community. Next slide, please. Our department has grown in terms of breadth and scope. There are currently 5 programs that we are actively working on right now. I believe this committee has received an update, an equity grant presentation about the new bus maintenance technician program. We expect that to follow with the light rail program soon after. We have worked with environmental services on a construction inspector program that was very successful. We hope to work in the regional administration to help the claims department, risk department develop their workforce. And what I'm asking in this presentation is to talk a little bit about the revenue equipment technician program that we are developing. Next slide, please. At Metro Transit, the revenue equipment technician is really a team of 15, a department of 15 technicians. And this is a perfect storm, if you will, both good and bad. Good for our department in the sense that over half of these employees are eligible for retirement now, and the remaining half within the very near future. With the expansion of our systems, they're looking at significant planned growth in their workforce. But they are concerned because the traditional labor pool is no longer reliable to fill those vacancies and new positions. They have asked for our help, and we have begun working on a model that we believe will provide the next generation of revenue equipment technicians. Next slide, please. This is a model that we find very helpful to explain how these programs work. In brief, it is basically a 5-step program, beginning with outreach and enrollment, and reaching those communities that aren't necessarily aware of the opportunities at the council, or more importantly, not aware of this specific job opportunity. So a 3-month campaign is going to hopefully collect and get interest from a wide variety of individuals, maybe over 50 or 100. What we really take pride in is that next step, which is taking those individuals, exposing them, providing them awareness to the council, Metro Transit, a career as a revenue equipment technician, and then prepare them for what the opportunity is, and prepare them to learn the skills required to be a successful employee. Phase 3 would then be our normal selection process, and only those who complete phase 2 are eligible to apply and become potentially selected for the position. Now, the relevant to this conversation is phase 4, and this is a new approach. As these individuals do not have current experience or a degree in the required field, we take a period of time and classify them as a trainee. And their job is really to learn the skill, both the technical, academic pieces of the job, the hands-on, the culture. For a year, 2 to 3 employees will go through this training, hands-on, while being full-time employees and being represented ATU. and benefits. And then we anticipate upon reaching these milestones and demonstrating that they have the competency to do the job, they then advance into phase 5, the current, what is technically called the ticket vending machine technician position. My request today is to get assistance for this phase 4 activity. Unlike other departments, this department does not have a lot of resources to train their own. So next slide please. Thank you. So we are requesting $90,000 in one-time funds to deliver the technical academic curriculum during this phase 4 period. So we will most likely put out an RFP for local area 2-year schools with electronics degree programs, and then find the best way to bring them in to teach the curriculum, to teach the technical skills required during that 1-year training period. I don't have much more dramatic closing than that, other than thank you for your time. The next slide is just the closing slide. I'd be happy to go back and answer any questions you have.
I have a question about, are you requesting a vote on the appropriation of the money? Because that's not how
No, I'm sorry, that is,
okay.
I'm not requesting.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Chad?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Eric. On page 7, you said the traditional labor pool no longer is reliable. Could you define what the traditional labor pool is and how well do things from?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Councilmember Chai. The traditional labor pool for this position has typically been 2-year technical schools, such as Hennepin Technical College, Dunwoody, North Hennepin Technical College. Those programs currently is a different world than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. There are very few what we call free agents in these advanced niche degree programs. Most likely these are all sponsored by private sector industries that are paying for their education, or that they come and snatch them up right away. It is very unusual to have someone graduate with a 2-year degree in something as defined as electronics and basically just search for a job. They have a job lined up before they graduate. And last thing, as we all are aware in the labor market right now, every shop, every organization, many of them have openings. So it is very challenging to find someone with the skill set, the experience, who is going to enter this position, not at the volume that is needed within the foreseeable future.
Thank you.
Councilmember Barber?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment in general, and I think some history for some of the fellow council members. If we look back at that Metro Transit Technician Program, I think a very similar story was told. We had a number of technicians who were retiring at the time, and so we were feeling a lot of shortages in that workforce pool, because a lot of those mechanics had actually been mechanics who had been with Northwest Airlines before they moved their maintenance operations to Atlanta. And so that's why that program was initially put into place, and we did that also, which is similar to the program that we authorized through the equity initiative. Well, it was through an equity grant that got that started, and we found it to be a really successful way, because not only were people getting the opportunity to learn new skills, they're getting paid for a good job, they were doing all these things, they get time to experience the culture of the organization, and I think that's a big test to why it's been so successful, and I think kind of the approach that you're outlining here is really similar and really kind of matches that, and I would expect to see similar results.
Excellent. Any other questions? I just have a quick question. The folks that might be starting this program, do they need to have any prior education or experience or training on the technical side, or we provide everything?
So there are minimum
Okay.
qualifications: high school diploma, ability to work, age, ability to pass a drug test. We will test for do some assessment testing that tries to determine their aptitude, their current reading, writing, math standards. But during that phase 2, which is, if we go back to slide 7, if it would be helpful, we introduce some introductory foundational elements and concepts that it's homework for them. It is a chance for us to test out what their interest is and their ability to dive into new topics, new subjects, and to acquire those knowledge and skills. So no, we are not looking for a 2-year degree, nor are we looking for experience in the field, but we do have ways to determine who we believe is going to have the best potential to be successful in this opportunity.
Excellent. Councilmember Pacheco.
Is there a eligibility for other funding, like a Pell Grant or some other funding that goes with this outside of your requirements as far as education and all that?
Mr. Chair and Councilmember, we've had the opportunity to leverage multiple funding sources. The large driver in this funding is going to be the cost of these new trainees when they become employees. The cost of preparing outreach is covered by a number of funds, including equity funds and ideally these redirected funds as well. For this specific program, I am unclear how much additional funding will be needed, but I think I may not be answering your question in total.
Well, no, actually, I'm not looking for the cost of the program itself, but for the individual.
Thank you. So during that phase 2 where we kind of prepare and ready them for this opportunity, they are volunteers and they are not being paid, but we provide this programming in non-traditional hours so they can maintain the current job that they have now. But when they move into that 1-year training, they will become, again, employees. They'll receive a salary as well as benefits.
Councilmember Musa.
Thank you. So only, first of all, I'm really big fan of, Aaron. He's really one of the most dedicated people when it comes to outreach and planning really great programs. The only concern I have will be, many in the, folks of color communities, it will be really difficult to stay in training if you're not getting paid. So is there any ways to really navigate that and provide maybe a stipend if someone really wants to join the program, but they cannot, they can get some income while they're in the program. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to really navigate that piece, because many folks in that, communities of color, I think, with income, we're going to training may not be viable for them.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Councilmember Musa, I appreciate that comment, and you're exactly right. We try to provide as much assistance, both direct and indirect as possible, as we're allowed to do. I'll have to talk with my council colleagues here to see what opportunities there would be for a stipend, as you mentioned. In the past, we have provided bus cards, tokens, if you will, for assistance, and we provide additional resources in terms of free tutoring and free resume assistance as well, but we'll explore that option.
Thank you. Follow-up question?
Go ahead.
Also, maybe an option exploring working with the philanthropic community at McKnight Foundation and see if they can really chip in some money to cover their expenses. So while we're doing the training, they can still cover that piece. So I think there's a lot of money out there, especially in the foundation world. Happy to chat offline if you wanna maybe bring some ideas.
Any other questions? No? All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Koski. That was very interesting.
Thank you.
I think we have a motion coming up.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move to close this meeting under section 13D.031, subdivision 1 of the Minnesota statutes so we can consider a labor development and negotiation related to labor strategies.
Second. Okay. Thank you. And the governing body of a public employer by majority vote in a public meeting might decide to hold a closed meeting under the supervisions of section 13D.03 subdivision 1B of the Minnesota statutes. The discussion at a meeting closed under this law must be confined to labor negotiation strategies, developments, annual discussions, and review of labor proposals. The proceedings of a meeting closed under this law will be tape recorded, preserved for 2 years, and made available to the public as provided by law. And we do need to have a roll call vote on the motion to close this meeting. And No? Okay. And my understanding is that we will not, we will be adjourned right after